Avery has been involved in the doc all throughout. He talks to Dave, I'd say once a week.
Once a week, yeah. Avery and I have a very long, interesting discussions, and I have to say he's been fully supportive and is looking forward to seeing this film.
So, you know, we have in the past shown clips basically of scenes that have not made it into the doc. Stuff that's going to be on in the special features sections. But today, you are going to see a piece of the actual doc. And
It's never been seen.
that's never been seen by mortal eyes, except our eyes over and over and over and over again. I don't know if Sirek made it here. He was going to try. I hope he's here. But if he's not, no, I guess not. But anyway, this is a piece that speaks to Avery and to Sirek, to Ben Sisko, and Jake. So, whoever you are, wherever you are,
Dr. Ben?
roll 'em.
You've been on a Deep Space Nine.
My favorite mission was raising Jake. Come on, man. Excuse me. Come on.
Start from the top. Sorry.
Come on, man.
Sorry.
Alright, here we go. Slowly comes up.
Some small things that we did that Avery was aware of. I didn't realize it at the time, but it was important for him to set the precedent for a black man raising a child, being there, being a father, being involved in his child's life, having that as his primary concern in life.
It was a reality of the disproportionate number of brown male children without father figures, etc. So it was very important to me that that relationship remained strong.
He was creating a role model for people to follow, particularly African American men, in terms of how to treat your son. I thought that he did such an outstanding job with the creation of this relationship with Jake.
The bond that the two of them had off camera, I thought for a moment that Avery was his daddy because they had such a wonderful strength together.
When we weren't working, he'd take me to a basketball game. He took me to my first Lakers game, introduced me to Jerry Buss and Magic Johnson, and introduced me as his son, with his son. You know, these are my children. That's how he would, introduce me. And I felt like part of his family. I felt the love. I still feel that way. He hasn't let it go at all. We still maintain a very close relationship.
I was just thinking, how much you look like your mom.
Thank you. And now we'll introduce the rest of the documentary team.
In no particular order. First, our senior editor, Joe Kornbrodt. And his partner in crime, our editor and producer, Snailham. And finally, somebody all of our Indiegogo supporters will know, the great producer and head of our Indiegogo campaign, Mello.
out that last clip that you saw with Jake and Captain Cisco. That was HD scan.
That was our very first HD. We're very excited about it. We're working with CBS, and they allowed us to scan the original negative from the show. So we're very excited to present it here in HD. Hopefully not the last time, but certainly for the first time.
And I think that's the first time that blooper has ever been seen. I don't think that's ever been shown anywhere. So.
Yeah, today we had a previous panel where we were saying that there was never any fun on the set, but that's really not true. We just don't go on and on about it, but there was, obviously, you could see the relationship between Avery and Tarak, who was like a father and a son, and you know, it's a beautiful thing. And I know if you in the dealer's room, if you see Tarak, he can wax eloquently about how much Avery has meant to him. So it's really a beautiful thing to hear him speak 25 years later. That's the thing to remember. So.
Well, I think that brings up kind of an important aspect that we've really kind of wanted to keep this documentary about, which is about the family of Deep Space Nine. And I know that we've done our best to include as many people in the film as we can. We've done, I think it's up to like 40 or 50 interviews at this point, and some of those over multiple years. We started this, or these guys started it back in 2015, 14?
Right here in 2013.
13, excuse me.
As a matter of fact, I think I'm staying in the same room where we filmed those interviews because it looks very familiar.
It's all full circle. Well,
yeah, full circle.
We've tried to include as many people from Deep Space Nine as possible, and you know, we are mere mortals and can't possibly get around to everybody who was in the show in one way or another. But I know that these guys editing the film have really tried to keep the stories about family. One of our big themes throughout the film is family. And I don't know if you could speak to that kind of crafting. You know, there's so many different stories we could tell with the Deep Space Nine documentary, but you guys.
I mean, it's interesting because projects always evolve over time. When you start watching the footage, you could go one direction, you go another direction. It's just this can be overwhelming at times. But one of the things that was clearly there from the very beginning was the idea of family, and not necessarily in just the interviews that we did, but also the fact that everyone showed up. I mean, to oversee these first big round of interviews that we did with all the major cast members. I mean, Jonathan West, who was the DP for seasons 3 through 7, he was there assisting, consulting, making sure that everyone looks great. Herman Zimmerman came in. He helped put together the set that you're going to see in the interviews that are in doc. I mean, we have Mike and Denise Okuda who are helping us navigate the process of getting those HD clips. I mean, everyone just came together, and it was fantastic.
Helped consult with some of the visual effects, and Dan Curry as well.
And yeah, I mean, everyone's involved. Family was such a key element. It was a beautiful thing, and I think everyone's going to see that it's just evident throughout the entire documentary.
And speaking too also about the family, you know, when we did the Indiegogo campaign that was so successful, thanks to many of your contributions, that's why we're all sitting here, we realized that the family was also extended to you, the audience, that so loves the show. And because of that, we asked for submissions. We also were here last year at the CBS All Access stage, and many of you came up and gave your confessionals, and many of those appear in this film. So the voice of the fans and the community who loves this show is also in that. And we feel that also represents part of this big family.
Yeah, so if you helped us out on this, keep an eye on the doc is available because you may see yourself.
So speaking of the big question we always get is, when is this doc coming out? We keep saying this year, and I think it's important to keep to that goal. We are here to celebrate the 25th anniversary, and we are going to make this film be seen in one way or another this year, here in 2018, so we're very excited about that.
Came out last week. No one knows
It's
about
out,
it
it's there. But our latest big sort of announcement has been that we are picture locked, and I know that a lot of people have said, well, that sounds great, what is that?
What does it mean?
What does it mean? I'm asking you guys, you're our editors, what does it mean?
Oh, picture lock. Well, that means that the story is in place. The film is, we have a run time. It's about an hour and 48 minutes, give or take with some of the credits. But
that's another 20 minutes.
Yeah. So that's not changing. What is changing is we're going to be getting as many HD scans as we can afford to go in and replace the standard definition clips from the show. It means we're going to go and color correct everything, and the composer is composing music to things, and he needs to compose to a locked picture. And then when all those elements are done, we go to the mix as well, and we mix in everything, so the levels, so there won't be any pops or anything that you may or may not have heard on this one clip. And at the end of the day, if you think of it, it's 3 trains running in parallel. And so they all have to be the same time. And at the end of it, we're going to put it all back together. So the picture's being done, the sound's being done, the music's being done. 3 trains comes together, and then voila, we have a movie, and then we get it out to you, the audience.
So a couple more hours of work.
Just a few. So anyway, I think it's important to say that, the whole genesis for this doc happened here in Vegas. It happened here at the convention in 2012, actually. It was in 2012, I was in the, I guess they call it the dealer's room. I hadn't been to a convention in 13 years, and I was kind of just in a kind of blissful state. I had seen Avery, I'd seen most of the other actors here and there, but I'd never seen Avery in all that time. And I was just in a good mood, and someone came up behind me, this man right over here, and he'd interviewed me for the Captain's doc and for Chaos.
Get a Life.
Get a Life. So I knew Dave, and Dave came up to me and just innocently, or I thought it was innocently, said, we're going to do a Deep Space Nine documentary, and how would you like to be William Shatner? And because Bill's not going to do another Star Trek doc, he did 3 in a row, so how'd you like to interview all the actors? Sounded kind of cool. I mean, I was feeling really good. So I said, yes, I'll do that. It's going to be an hour doc. It's going to be, I'll do it while I was doing Outlander at the time. I was just about to do Outlander. I thought it would be my night job, it would be something for the weekends when I wasn't working on a script or I wasn't in Scotland. And here we are in 2018 explaining to you what picture lock is. So it has been a interesting journey to do this doc and to still be talking about it here in beautiful Las Vegas at the Creation Convention.
And we're actually editing the doc right across the alley from the original Deep Space Nine stages.
Well, that is really
pretty bizarre.
Yeah. I go to work now every day on the Paramount lot.
It's taken over his life.
It's taken over my life. I've turned down other work to continue to do this. And, we're literally right across the street from stages 17 and 18, where I spent 8 years of my life. So there is definitely a kind of a beautiful symmetry, I suppose, to the making of this film. So, and I just want to say, obviously, I get a lot of play because I was on the show and I'm doing this doc, but these are the guys right here who are really responsible for the film. So, when it does come out,
thank you, guys.
When it does come out, I want you to really listen to this, because it's honest and it's true. If you like the doc, and I think you will, these are the guys, the behind-the-scene guys, the 18-hour-a-day guys, who sit and eat their food at their monitors and never see the light of day. They're the guys you're going to have to thank right here. And if you don't like it,
blame us.
I'm the guy, who has the final say. So if you like it, it's them. If you don't like it, it's on me. So just remember that when the doc eventually comes out. So do we have anyone, we don't have, I can't tell. Do we have questions?
Hi, Ira, and this is for you. Actually, it's for all of you. Where's Avery?
I thought I answered that. Avery basically is done. He says he's done talking about Deep Space Nine. He says he has said everything that he wants to say, that, not just in terms of the doc, but in terms of coming to conventions. I would love it to change. I'd like him to change his mind, but the amount of conversations we've had in terms of having him participate, I mean, just finally ran its course. You know, he's not exactly a wishy-washy kind of guy, so when he says something, he means it. He's very involved. He questions Dave all the time. He wants to know exactly what we're doing. How is it coming? Who have we talked to? Who have we not talked to? So he's watching over the doc, but he just feels that he has no need to participate. So that's his decision. Obviously, we wish it was a different decision, but we have to respect it.
And I will say, if you really, what he feels is his definitive statement on Star Trek is the captain's close-up. I don't know if you're familiar with the spin-offs that I did with Bill Shatner. In the 90-minute, we did a 30-minute, half-hour just on Avery, and I'll never forget, after we first showed it to him, he called me and said he cried. He was in tears because he was so moved by the piece. So I would advise you to go seek that out, the captain.
Yeah, Avery loved that. Loved it. It was nothing to do with this doc, but when that did come out, I remember how happy he was with it, and I guess he felt that was it. We all.
So one of the things I'm anticipating most from this documentary is this writer's reunion of a hypothetical season 8 premiere episode. It's very exciting to me. I'm wondering how much time you have devoted to this, though. I mean, you have the picture locked. I'm wondering, are we going to get 5 minutes of this? Are we looking at, I don't know, maybe a feature-length presentation down the road and supplements or something?
I can tell you there's more than 5 minutes.
Yes.
We're really excited about this part of the documentary. I've been lucky to be working closely on this piece specifically for the last year, sort of, you know, taking that focus off our other two editors who have so many interviews just to go through, just to get to that point. We had about 6 hours of this writer's room, and these guys could have kept going, I'm sure, much longer, but that's kind of the time that we'd set, and it was a one-day thing, and we filmed it back in 2015, and now we're trying to have it make sense in a longer piece that, you know, obviously this is not all the documentary is about, this is a short part of the documentary, but we've been working it down, and I think I can share that it's about 18 to 20 minutes of the final film. It's pretty much taking you through what the first episode would be.
It's very exciting.
Season 8, and we're very excited about it. Something that I've been happy to see is that we have an animator who's been creating some little pieces to sort of illustrate what it would be. Of course, we can't bring the whole cast back together and do that for real, but we have, I think, just about the next best thing to that. So we're very excited. As far as a longer piece, we're really hopeful that we can get a longer piece out to people. I think people who have interest in the film industry but have never seen a writer's room will be just kind of blown away by the process.
And if you are a writer.
And if you are a writer, even more so. So we are planning on releasing at some point, probably long after this documentary is finished and we can finally focus on it, a longer version of the writer's room. So stay tuned for that as well.
Out of curiosity, how many people would be interested in seeing the entire writer's room process?
I have to tell you, you will not be disappointed. It's myself, Ron, Robert, Hans, and Renee, and it was an amazing day. It was an unbelievable day. I mean, it's not like we hadn't seen each other individually, but to get us all in a room together, and we did not see this thing at all. It wasn't like we talked ahead of time and came up with ideas so that we look good. We came in having, I mean, we all had thoughts, our own thoughts, but what you see is what happened that day. And yeah, yes, it's about 20 minutes, and we had to kind of make it a little more linear so that you can follow the entire story of that episode, which is not really how a writer's room goes. You talk about the ending, you talk about the middle, you go back to the beginning. But it tells you this story that we came up with on that day. If we did it another day, it might have been a slightly different story. But on that day, this is the episode 1 we came up with. And of everything we've done about this doc, I am determined one way or another, just as a teaching tool, or just people to see what it's actually like, is to cut out some of the X-rated dialogue and some of the snarky comments we say about people in the heat of the moment, but bring it to you as full and complete as we can. Because to me, it's a fabulous thing to happen, and I can't think of a show in the history of television who's done anything like it. So it is really a one-off.
You guys will be amazed to see how quickly you got up to speed on that day. Watch these 5 guys after 16 years, and within 20 minutes you're on, you're pitching. It was impressive.
With the exception of who will remain nameless, so you will find out as you watch it, who had a little trouble realizing that we were going to take this so damn seriously, and who kept laughing at the idea that we kept talking about other episodes in the season. Well, we can't do that because what about episode 5? It's like, episode 5? It's not even an episode 1! What are we talking about? So we got pretty much into it, and I think that everyone had a fantastic day, and everyone was kind of sorry to see it end, though we were pretty burnt out. Because usually, in an actual day, on Deep Space Nine, we would have half a day breaking a story and half a day writing our own scripts. So to stay 6 full hours in the writer's room, that's a brain hammer right there.
Well, I think the Chinese lunch didn't help.
The food, this staff, even 16 years later, they do exist on their bellies. They love to eat. And so we had a pretty big meal at lunch without thinking, and afterwards we were all looking at each other like, maybe we should not have had that second helping. So, but we stand by it, and I think there'll be plenty of things for the fans, for you people to agree with and argue about for years to come. And the cast hasn't seen this either. I think they will have their opinions too. So there you go.
Hello, my question is for everyone, and I hope I didn't miss anything about this, but I was curious about the specific factors that led to Adam Nimoy not being involved with the project, and if his departure has had any effect, positive or negative, on the documentary.
Well, here's the deal. We were doing the doc for about 3 years before Adam got involved. So the doc was up and running. And I think that what happened was we had finished either the first or second round of interviews. And what I had said was, okay, I'm gonna let you guys go off for a month or 3 weeks. I said, I'm not gonna look over your shoulders. Go do it, have some fun, come back in a month, I'll come in to Paramount and you'll show me what you have, and then we'll get into it and we'll figure it out. And at the end of that month, I find out that he left, he was leaving. So we never had that meeting, all of us together. Adam had never seen the show before he got involved, and so he was playing a lot of catch up. So, that was really it. That's how it happened. I mean, we just went on from there.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
I just want to know, do you know about when this documentary will come out and where we can find it, how we can find it?
Oh,
When we know, you'll know. We are an independent company. We're not part of a larger distribution network. We're not part of a studio that has access to all of these outlets. So the thing we know for sure is that our backers who have been part of this since day one are getting a copy of the Blu-ray. They're getting a Blu-ray and DVD. We have an early stream that's going out just to our supporters from the Indiegogo campaign. So they will see it this year for sure. Beyond that, there's so many factors that we're still waiting on. I mean, we are very lucky to have a great relationship with CBS and Paramount, who have given us access to a lot of these clips. We're still, certainly in talks with them and with everybody else who we need to about licensing things. We're hoping that we get, some sort of deal with anybody else bigger that maybe that'll help get this out to a larger public than we have direct access to. But the truth of the matter is, we're going to have it out one way or another this year for our backers, and we hope it'll make a much wider audience.
I also think it's important to mention that the surefire way to see this thing is through DVD and Blu-ray, which is currently available as a pre-order on our website, ds9documentary.com. And we're going to continue to take pre-orders up until the date of this thing comes out. So that's, if you want to see it, the moment it's been released, that's the way to do it.
From the supporters of the campaign and contributors from London. We're looking forward to the London premiere. I hope it is still on, and if it is on, you promise to send Mark Alimo to London.
Well, it would be nice. Look, number one, it's definitely on. There will be, whatever you want to call it, a screening, a premiere, the London showing of the film. That definitely will happen. In terms of who's going to come, it's going to be honest, it's going to depend on who's paying for it. Because obviously the actors are not going to fly themselves, and by the time this is over, we're not going to have the funds to fly actors over ourselves, because all the money, trust me, all the money is going into the film. So, once you start talking about HD and all the clips that we have, it runs into money. I would love, it's LA, New York, and London. I would like to have actors at every one of those premiere screenings, and we'll just have to see how it lays. And it also depends, like Kai said, on who buys this. What company picks this up, and in what way they want to show the film.
And I'll say that Mark Alimo makes a major impact in this documentary. If you don't know Mark now, you will. Yeah.
That'll make more sense when the film comes out.
Are you guys going to throw in maybe some extras inside the DVDs, for example?
Definitely.
Okay, because I know like time they'll put the piece together, but they'll like 6 hours of extras.
We absolutely want to put as many features as we can on the Blu-ray and the DVD. The truth is, as anybody who has dealt with digital files knows, is we can only fit so much stuff onto a disc. But we have so many things, even stuff we've shown last year that won't make it into the film, that are great pieces. They're incredible pieces. They just, for one reason or another, didn't fit with the narrative that we were telling. So we absolutely will have bonus features on the DVD. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by many of them. And anybody who pre-orders on our website will get those on the Blu-ray as well.
Thanks.
And we're going to call it What We Left Out Of, What We Left Behind.
Boy, there is a lot. There is so much, things segments that we'll put together that at the time I thought, well, there's no way that this segment on trials and tribulations or whatever the segment was, it has to go into the film. It's so nice, it's so perfect. There it is. It says what we want to say, but film is a peculiar beast, It tells its own story. And suddenly it was like, well, there's really no actual reason that within this film that we're telling, we need that piece. It does not follow the thesis that we're discovering about the film. So there it is. We can plug it right out, and the film goes on its merry way. And luckily for us, we do have the opportunity to put in special features, so they're all going to be there. Everything that we've cut out of the film and more will eventually be seen by anyone who wants to see it.
I asked this question last year, but frankly the response was unsatisfactory. as fans, I think we all agree that Deep Space Nine is the best of Star Trek, hands down. And in this room, we need it to be remastered.
Yeah, trust me, if you want to ask that question again, wait until you see. I can't believe how good it looks when they show me these clips. When I see some of the clips in standard def, especially from like seasons 1 and 2, and then I see them remastered, it's like, holy fill in the blank. It's like, it's a crime that I can't look at them in standard def. But the fact remains, it's expensive as hell to remaster these films, to remaster the special effects, right?
And also finding all the elements. I mean, there was a scene that we ordered the scans for, and on Quark's reverses, his close-ups, the dailies were supposed to be there, but they weren't in with all the other dailies from that day.
It was a different take.
Yeah, and so, you know, we're trying to match it to the audio, to the final mix, and you can't do that. And this stuff's in Colorado under a mountain.
I will tell you this, you know, since, you know, you guys have paid for this film, or some of you have, you know, as self-serving as it sounds, CBS has been very, very helpful with this film up to now, more than they have in the other films that Dave has made. So that's a good sign. But how this film ultimately does, and how whatever format it comes out in, whether, you know, it's you know, some streaming service plus DVD plus whatever. Some people talk about theatrical. I'm not sure we need a theatrical for it. But however it comes out, if it does well, if the support is as big as we hope it is going to be since 2013, when the tide seems to have turned about Deep Space Nine, if the powers that be suddenly go, hey, you know, people are paying and, you know, want to see this doc, maybe they'll decide, okay, let's roll up our sleeves and do the work that's necessary. And it's a lot of work to get it remastered. I hope so, because I keep refusing to watch this show until they do it in HD. So I would like to see a couple of these episodes all the way through, because they seem pretty good in memory and in the clips that I've seen. Still don't go in happy, ladies and gentlemen.
I have a question for you. Yeah.
From you?
From me.
Wow.
What has been the most surprising thing for you in this process of making the documentary?
Okay, well, if we take away all the jokes about how long it's taken and how much you have to, as with any, you know, creative endeavor, you can't do it half-assed. To be frank, I thought I could do this half-assed, and that was a big mistake. You know, you have to commit entirely and give up your time and all your creative thoughts to get something done as well as it deserves to be done. And the Indiegogo campaign really woke me up and really made me realize just how much we owed the fans. So suddenly it became a whole different doc. But I think the thing that surprised me the most is how, you know, we did 120 hours of interviews, I think, with cast and crew and ancillary people involved with the show, journalists, whatever. I could not believe how emotional people would get when, you know, I said this earlier today, you know, it's the 25th anniversary, and, you know, most people don't get to do a victory lap for the work they've done. And this doc here, this whole thing is kind of a victory lap. When people sit and start talking about how much effort they put into the show and how much the show means to them in retrospect, people got very emotional in the interviews, you know. And I'm not just talking about actors who could turn it on or turn it off. I'm talking about crew people. I'm talking about, it was an emotional time, you know, doing all of this. And so that, I think, was my biggest surprise, how much the show lives on within all of us, and sometimes you don't want to dwell on the past and all the bullshit we say to ourselves. You know, you got to look forward to this, that, the other thing, and move on, move on, move on. When you stop and look back, you realize how much things mean to you.
I love the, what? Oops, sorry.
Hi, thank you so much for doing this documentary. I love DS9. And I hate to get back to Avery, but I hope the word gets out to him that it's so important that he shows his face. He needs to stand behind his excellent work. He made history at becoming the first black captain of Star Trek. And we need his face more than ever now to show little black and brown kids that we will be in the future and that we do have a stake in the future. So I'm hoping that he will change his mind and he will come and see the fans again, show his face, show the world the true representation of the world.
I could not agree with you more. It hurts just to hear you say that because it's so true. I think, if I can say this, and I hate speaking for anyone, let alone for Avery Brooks, my God, but I think if I talk about people if they look back and they allow themselves to get emotional, I think Avery is an incredibly intelligent, which everyone seems to know, but also an incredibly sensitive guy. Now, people always talk about how intimidating Avery is, and he can be intimidating. But I knew Avery for 7 years. I knew Avery, and I worked with Avery, and I talked to Avery, and I fought with Avery, and I fought with Avery. And Avery is incredibly sensitive. His nerves are on the surface. He feels everything, not just in his life, but in the life of this country, if I can say, in the life of this planet. And that's a hard way to live. That is a difficult way to live.
Could you share some unexpected moments as you've been putting this together that might surprise us as we watch this documentary?
A lot of them are in the doc, and I don't want I just want to give shit away, give things away. It's just not cool to give stuff away. I think that, people remember stuff that you don't remember, and they remember it and they want to talk about it at times. So there's that, but again, it's all, I don't want to tease you out. Anyone have a better answer?
I would just say it was said before, but just how everybody stepped up. And we've done some special shoots with people, and everybody that we've asked to be in this have gone above and beyond.
The crew is coming to us without us asking, with photos, with items that they've had from the show. I think the thing that surprised me versus working on any other film project I've worked on is that people are coming out to support this film, whether it's the fans, whether it's the people on the show. They're coming out to support the film because of this just overwhelming love that is inherent in Deep Space Nine. It was inherent when they were making the project and has remained till now, 20, 25 years later, that there's something special about this, that it's more than just work for the people who are on it. I think that that's really something that's evident to us while working on the film.
I think also that the times that we live in, DS9 speaks to those times, even though it's 25 years since the show was on the air. And I think that's unfortunately or fortunately been good for the show. And I just want to throw something in that has nothing to do with anything, but this is August 3rd, which is the anniversary of the death of Lenny Bruce, who is a great stand-up comic and a great speaker for truth and justice and freedom, which I'd like to think Deep Space Nine stands for as well. So Lenny Schneider, Lenny Bruce, This one's for you, babe.
We've only got a few more minutes, so let's try to get through as many as we can.
I have a question for everybody except Ira, which is
Good.
What was your experience with Deep Space Nine before this project, and how has it changed your relationship with the show?
Maybe I can start with that. Yeah, Deep Space Nine. I actually, and I told Avery Brooks this. It changed my life because I was not working in film at the time. I was out of college, and when Deep Space Nine premiered in '93, I was blown away. I mean, this is, I had always loved Star Trek, but this really changed me, and it was really the impetus for me to change careers and get into film production. So it had an incredible impact on me, and then to meet this guy and have him working across my office, I have to pinch myself that I've come, thank you, that I've come this far, so I owe a lot to Deep Space Nine.
I can say that before this project had begun, I had seen one episode of Deep Space Nine back in, I think it was 2001, 2000. BBC did a special on Star Trek and they played Trials and Tribulations. So that was my introduction to Deep Space Nine. Hadn't seen any of it since then. And I was one of those people that said, a space station? That sounds boring as hell. How wrong was I?
For me, I hadn't seen Deep Space Nine when it was on. I didn't have a TV at the time. I grew up with the original series. I didn't see an episode of it until 2012. I had been working with Dave and Kevin Lane at the time, and I was editing the first Captain's Close-Up I did was Avery Brooks' episode, and so I went out and I went on the internet and I talked to Dave and I watched his 10 best, what were considered his 10 best episodes, and I was blown away, especially by Far Beyond the Stars. Some of the more serialized stuff, I didn't have any context for it, but that was such a powerful episode. And I was listening to the interviews of Nana, and Terry, and Renee, and Armin, and everybody talking about working with Avery, and they talked about the show and their process, and I was like, wow, this sounds really interesting. I'm going to check it out. It's on Netflix. And then very soon thereafter is when Dave said, hey, you want to produce the Deep Space Nine documentary with me? So 6 years later, it's changed my life a lot.
And I was in the same boat as Luke. I have to admit, at the risk of being booed by this audience here, I hadn't seen a single Deep Space Nine episode coming to this film. And Dave approached me and said, listen, we just worked up For the Love of Spock. He said, the next project is on Deep Space Nine. He says, I've wanted to do this for years. I've begun it. And I said, Dave, I haven't seen Deep Space Nine. I don't know. You know, I keep hearing that it's darker, that it's different. I haven't seen it. I don't know. He said, just do me this favor. Just watch the first couple episodes. Just if you don't see anything in it, it's fine. Don't work on this project. And here I am 2 years later, and I've seen everything. So I'm so happy. It's changed my life. It's gotten us to meet this great group of people, and we're incredibly lucky. Now I know we're just about out of time. We've one last thing we want to premiere for you guys here. We've been so lucky in our Indiegogo campaign to create some really cool t-shirts and pins and some merchandise that gave you all the opportunity, or gave a lot of you the opportunity to support the film and also get something pretty cool out of it. We're ramping back up. We are getting ready to premiere the film, and we do actually have some new pin sets. People have been asking us, when are they going to be available again? So we are making some new, exciting pins available, and we have a little clip that we want to show you guys now, so if we can play that, that'd be great.
It's very short.
I had never seen that before. It was. Look, the last thing I want to say is when we were doing the show and we were not getting. I know there's a lot of love in the room now, but at the time we were not feeling the love. Okay, for 7 years we were not feeling the love. The actors were not feeling the love. What I used to tell the writers was that we were doing the show for ourselves, and that to really understand Deep Space Nine, you had to live Deep Space Nine. You had to really, it wasn't a show you could come to and just kind of half-ass. You had to really watch it, you had to follow it. Remember, this is the 90s, before TV became what it became. And I said, and that's good. We live it, we're the ones who understand the show. And I just want to say it's a wonderful thing 25 years later to be around you people and to walk around this hotel and constantly meet people who suddenly seem to live Deep Space Nine. So, from me to thee, thank you all.